Sean. Let me say first that I have only ever seen one PowerPoint demonstration in my life. I have never made one. And earlier today, it occurred to me that I should have one. So I asked a friend to make me a PowerPoint demonstration, which I have not seen. And the friend that made the PowerPoint demonstration did not like my article very much. So I don't know how this is going to go. Also, I was told to have 20 slides that would each be on the screen for 15 seconds for a 5-minute presentation. But that does not work in a math way. 15 seconds per 20 slides is a 3-minute presentation. Whatever. All right. Now that we all understand who's in charge here, how does this work? Whee! Thank you. A month and a half ago, I wrote an article for the Seattle Weekly called "Punk Rock is Bullshit." It was an inclusive article meant to bring people together. I have adopted over the years a fairly strident personal tone in reaction to the indie rock culture that I came up in, which was a mealy-mouthed culture which could not make a stand about anything. And so my strident tone was a response to the world I lived in, and it's also a caricature, which is to say that I mean what I say, but I'm also an exaggerated example of myself. So I'm used to people responding to things I write with a kind of angry petulance. And I wrote this article, "Punk Rock is Bullshit," because punk rock is bullshit. And I felt like somebody needed to say it out loud. But the response that I got was extraordinary and something that I had never experienced. And this is speaking as someone who once wrote a review of a Tool concert for MSNBC, which got 700 responses, all telling me that I didn't understand that Maynard was a prophet. So the morning that the article came out, I was checking my email and texts as I normally do. And it was a fairly normal response at first. You know, normally I write an article, I get a few dozen replies. Some of them say, I loved your article. Some of them want to debate me personally, and there are a few haters that say, you suck, you can't write, fuck you. So I started to get these that morning, but there were these other curious responses from people that were very emo, that said, your article really hurt my feelings. Your article was really mean. And I didn't know how to contextualize that because I thought it was a pretty funny article, and I didn't understand how you could feel, how your feelings could get hurt. And so I started to kind of try and talk to these kids online. And then every time I checked my phone, then I had 30 new emails, 70 new emails, 150 new emails. And by that afternoon, the article had been read more times than apparently anything in the history of the weekly. And 2 or 3 days later, it had 1,000 comments and more. Most of them attacking me personally because my dad was a Washington state legislator in the 50s. And I had the most kind of insane couple of weeks in the center of this firestorm, because what I had done is attack a religion that was formed, like all religions, initially in the heart of a kind of sense of persecution. Just like early Christianity, the identity of Christianity is maintained for 2,000 years by their sense of collective persecution in those early years, even as they became the mainstream religion. And in punk rock, that persecution was so intense at the start that even now, 20 years after the release of Green Day's Dookie, which no one can argue was the end of punk rock, we are further from Dookie than Dookie was from London Calling. But we still maintain in our hearts this religious feeling that punk and us as alternative people were persecuted and are persecuted. The last person in popular culture to truly persecute punk was Tipper Gore in 1984. But the response that I got was this stored up response that the culture had, that it was still the victim and still like, very vulnerable. A lot of the replies I got on Twitter were hashtagged TCOT, top conservatives on Twitter, which is this hashtag that conservatives use to prop themselves up like, we're conservatives, we're cool. And kids were reading my article and associating me with the voice of conservatism. They were equating my feel. This is some great fan art. Equating my article, which was very much written from inside alternative culture, as someone who came up as a member of alternative culture. But they were equating me as this kind of the only way they could understand it was that I was critiquing them from this place of like old people, Margaret Thatcher even. So over the course of the last month and a half, I have continued to receive a trickle of mail from people. And some of the best stuff is this kind of almost a form letter where people say, I hope that you are proud for having sold your credibility forever for $300 or whatever the weekly paid you. And the suggestion is that everything lives forever on the internet. And now, no matter that I have made albums, no matter that I am a creator of culture, I will be known forever as the bastard who spoke ill of punk. But the Seattle Weekly website is broken, and you cannot access this story or the comments. And in trying to prepare this speech, I went to Facebook to see all of the many angry personal posts that people put on their Facebook pages. But since the month and a half ago when I wrote the article, Facebook has changed their algorithm 3 separate times. And now you can't access any of that. All that stuff is gone. Or it takes $15 to find it, or I don't know. So in fact, the only thing you have to do in a situation like this is just wait around for a week or two, and then it's all just gone into the river. So anyway, punk rock is bullshit, so are you. Fuck off. This whole conference is bullshit. I saw Prince last night, he was bullshit. No, it was a shit show. Sorry. All the people that are going to talk after me are also bullshit. So thanks again.